Hey, welcome to the show. It's me, John Park, and Andy Calloway totally got me because I'm cracking up over this. What the heck is going on with this house? While you were away, Lars bought himself a house. You got me. This is my workshop, and that's Lars, and that's our Discord. I'm pointing the wrong ways. Discord is over at adafruit.it/Discord. Look for the live broadcast chat channel, and beware of people pranking you with jokes. We also have a chat over at YouTube. So, hey, who's there? Hey, Dave Odessa and Beata Graf Abdel Hagen. Howdy. Yeah, over in our, still laughing at this, got me good. Discord, Andy Calloway, of course, Thin Man, and Blitz City DIY. Hello, and thanks for joining. Toddbot with the moisturize me meme. Very appropriate. Also joining us over in YouTube, Burton R. and SamJ9203. Hi, thanks for jumping into the chats today. Excuse me. The other places we broadcast, you may not see a chat, so go over to our Discord if you're on Twitch or Facebook or somewhere like that. We broadcast to a lot of places, but I can't keep an eye on all of those chats. So what's going on today? I've got a coupon code for you so you can save some money in the shop. I have a product pick of the week recap. I have a new CircuitPython Parsec, and then I've got a couple of projects that are in continuing development that I wanted to talk about and show you what's up with them. If we have time, I'll do a little demo. I did this last night. If you want to go back, look at last night's show and tell for a demo of the demo scene Fruit Jam demo Fruit, now with mod files, music from Dan Q or KQVC. I think next week maybe I'll show you some of the mod tracker development that went into this and the conversion tool. That code is basically ready to go. I think I'm going to commit that tonight or tomorrow up to GitHub for all of the demo scene stuff, including the music file and the new texture map file with Lars. And then I've got the guide in the works, so you'll be able to make one of those. And then this thing over here, this is the, that's not that, that's that. That thing right there is coming along. I've added more features. I've got a pretty good solution for the case hinge situation. Also got in the KB2040 fight stick board, so I'll show you that all put together. And I learned some interesting things about power management and keeping the voltage up where it needs to be. I was having some restarts due to one of the cables I was using being less than up to the task. So you do have to believe them when they say that certain cables, better cables with thicker wire, especially these USB-C to USB-C, can handle the higher current that's required to keep the voltage from sagging. I learned that the hard way. I'll touch on a couple other projects that are in the works, and then we'll try some stuff over there. So first off, if you want to go to the Adafruit shop and save yourself some money, that right there, that's the shop. It's at adafruit.com. You'll be in the store as soon as you hit that. And if you want to save some money while you're there, on some of these new products, then Voltage is, I think, rather appropriately your coupon code for the day. So head on over to adafruit.com and type in Voltage in the coupon code slot when you go to check out. That'll save you the 10% on anything that we can ship you. It doesn't work on gift certificates or software subscriptions, but it'll save you money on the goods that you can buy. Whoops, let me put that back there. And not gift certificates, software subscriptions, but things we send you. It is good until midnight tonight, so that coupon code expires midnight East Coast time tonight. But here, let's go back to what we have here. Actually, I want a demo. I talked about I was out last week, but the previous week I talked about these Pimoroni badgeware. I got one. I barely had a chance to turn it on, but maybe we'll explore that a little bit today too. I kind of want to make sure that I do the show long enough that I don't see the end of the World Cup game that's going on right now. I'm going to catch it in replay. So don't say anything if you want to not break my heart. Don't tell me what happens, because I'm going to watch it as if it's live afterwards. So yeah, maybe I won't go the full hour and a half, or if they go into overtime, longer. But let's do some stuff here today. So those badgeware things, they're pretty cool. If you head to view all new products, you'll see there's a few of those from Pimoroni, and you can save money on those. It's not just on Adafruit products. This is a new one. I'm going to be exploring this one pretty soon, this 8-channel ADC and GPIO expander. Pretty cool, pretty useful, especially if you're doing stuff with smaller boards like a CircuitPy and you just need a bunch of ADCs, analog to digital converters, and more. So also, that's still good on that AdaBox 22. You can pick up a Fruit Jam. I think it's the only way to get one from us right now. I don't think we have the general Fruit Jam item in stock, but we do have the AdaBox 22, which comes with the Fruit Jam, but also the mouse and keyboard and gamepad, as well as all the little accessories you see there. So that could be worth picking up, and you get that for $54 if you use the coupon code. And since I said coupon code, let's put that back right there. Yes, Voltage is your coupon code today. Hello, LL3NNH, who just joined us over in YouTube. What is this? This is my workshop. We're here in the workshop, and we're taking a look at some... Oh, you're going to get yourself banned just hitting A a whole bunch of times there. You realize that, right? Oh, sorry. All right, maybe you were sitting on your keyboard, but careful with that. So Voltage, that's your coupon code for the day. Head on over to adafruit.com to save some money. Okay, next up, let me jump over to product pick of the week recap for you. So every Tuesday at 1 o'clock, I've got the product pick of the week, and on that show, I show you an Adafruit product, a goodie, a new one, an oldie but goodie, something from the archives, something brand spanking new, and I give you a demo of it and a big discount. This week it was 50% off, and here is a little recap. That is the product pick of the week this week. It is the 2.9-inch grayscale e-ink Featherwing. This is the black in the shadow here. There's the white. There's the lighter gray inside the hub and on the hood here. And this is the darker gray across the top that we have here. So I'm going to press the B button here, and it's going to swap this out for a different image I prepared. And here you can see kind of a different look, but this is pretty neat because this is not just a 1-bit or 2-color black and white dither. This is actually getting quite a lot of curvature and shading to this design, because we're able to use all 4 of those grays as well as a dither pattern. It is the 2.9-inch grayscale e-ink display Featherwing, 296 by 128 pixels, using the SSD 1680 driver. Yes, indeed it is. I still got these. It's one of my favorite things about these is when I do a demo, even when I unceremoniously steal the feather for something else, still get the cool image on there of the best Batmobile. So let's see. Hey there, Big Red Pimp, habitual enabler, just joined us over in the chat. From the GP 2040 CE world, I actually will be showing something about that today with my little breakout that I made on the KB 2040. And we'll get to that right after the parsec. How about? Sure. Let's jump into this. So let's do the little CircuitPython Parsec, and then don't let me forget. Take a look at that breakout, joystick breakout. All right. So here it comes. All right. Let me get code window in view here, and here we go. So for the CircuitPython Parsec today, I wanted to shift gears and talk about using hierarchies of groups in display I/O. So what does that mean? Well, if you have an object in display I/O on a screen, such as these shapes here, circles, triangles, squares, and you want to adjust their position, you can simply adjust the position of the object, so circle.x, circle.y. However, sometimes you want to move collections of objects around together. So I'm going to keep these two circles here, essentially inseparable. So you can see here there we go. If I move one circle, I'm moving the other circle. If I move one triangle, I'm moving the other triangle. If I move one square, I'm moving the other square. So those are inside of a conceptual group. I'm not drawing an object for it, but you can imagine they're in an invisible box. And then I've taken those three groups that each contain two objects and put them inside of a bigger group that I'm just calling screen. So this gives me the effect of sliding a screen around, maybe scrolling around, if you think of this as something like an image editor or a Palm Pilot or that sort of thing, something on your phone. So the ability to move objects individually in groups and in groups of groups is really helpful for a lot of user interface design. So the way that we do this inside of CircuitPython, what I have here is let me flip it upside down, is that same feather, RP2350. I repurposed that from the other demo. And it's plugged into this 3.5-inch 480 by 320 TFT Featherwing V2 with capacitive touch. And that's how I'm able to input XY positions as I touch the screen. In the CircuitPython code here, I'm importing some libraries that make all of this work, particularly display I/O. I'm using vector I/O for the fast draw of those shapes. And then I have the driver for the display and the capacitive touch on there. This display works over SPI, so we set that up for the appropriate pins on the feather. And it also uses I2C for the capacitive touch. Then we're setting up a palette of colors so that I have the red, the green, and the blue. And then here comes the hierarchies. So the sort of highest level of this you can think of is this scene display I/O group. So that group contains a group of groups. So we have scene display I/O group, and that is a root group. Then I create two circles inside of their own group. So I create the circle group, that's a display I/O group in some particular position. And then I append to that one vector I/O circle and a second vector I/O circle. And those are just given their own different positions, 30 units away from each other, or 60, I should say, units away from each other. Do the same for the triangle. So that's another group that contains two objects. And then the third group here is this square group, which contains two squares. Then you can see right here, this is the key to getting things to move together. I append to that top level scene group, the circle group, the triangle group, and the square group. So that means we inherit movement or any kind of transforms. So as I change the XY position of scene, that then passes that along to circle group, triangle group, and square group. As I adjust the XY of triangle group, it passes that transform along to triangle 1 and triangle 2, and so on. And then the nuances of this are things like adjusting our hit regions so that we have essentially a bounding box around things that we know we've touched when we press the touch screen. So that position right there knows that I have shifted that triangle group or that square group so that those will pick up and move. Doing a little bit of smoothing of the touch here to avoid jitter. Still get a little bit, but not bad. And then in the main group, we're just checking for touch points to align with either the scene group or those individual groups, and then adding or subtracting X and Y coordinates from those. And so really it's all in the setup. Moving them is easy. So that's the easiest way to move groups of groups inside of CircuitPython in display IO. And that is your CircuitPython Parsec. All right. Andy in the chat found a spelling error. What did I misspell? I hope it's nothing obscene. Is that in my code that you noticed? I'll move past that quickly. Okay, so next up, I said I wanted to talk about the breakout board that I made for the KB 2040 for my joystick fight stick project. And let me go back to the CircuitPython. Did I write CircuitPython? It doesn't surprise me. Let me adjust my exposure here, brighten this up a little bit. There we go. And yeah, sure, I'll keep it focused right there where you can see it. Let me put a little mini me in there. So this, 2 weeks ago, if you want to go back at the previous John Parks workshop, you'll see the CAD I worked on in KiCad, KiCad, however we're saying that. Someone tell me, I need to write it down somewhere. KiCad. I worked on that as well as a fritzing diagram to show the somewhat standardized harness, the Brook harness wiring of a 2x10 connector down here. And as I mentioned, these will often leave out this first two set of pins. In fact, the harness cable that I have does not have wires there because these two are used for, I think, some optical joysticks only, so they're pretty uncommon. So I may revise this with those not connected and then give you a little solder pad to connect if you want to use those. One of the things that's nice about that, if you have those wires not even there, you can flip your harness cable upside down by accident because it's not a keyed connector, and you still won't fry anything. So if VCC were there, you'd be potentially frying something by sending 5 volts to the up and down joystick pins, as well as kind of messing with what's considered ground. So this is a pretty simple breakout. I've got KB 2040. I have the what's considered the S2 or start button connected to a wire, and that allows you to get into web config mode. I wrote it on there, web config, in order to reset the board before you've got it kind of all wired up into your fight stick. Into the web configurator. So there's a web server that runs on your GP2040CE board, and then you can go in and change things. So I put a little push button, tactile button there. And then I also broke out a few things. So we've got a ground, a reset, 3.3 volts, and then over here, pin D1, which I wasn't using, a couple extra grounds, and then pins D6 and D7. So those you can solder a header pin or a JST socket. I'll show you on my briefcase build what that looks like. Nothing much on the bottom, just some pin names there. So this, however, because of this, and I don't want to go show you why I'm doing this as far as wiring goes, is wiring can be pretty tedious, even with a bunch of quick connect, separate quick connectors to arcade, to JST, or to screw terminals. So these cables right here, let me see if there's a nice blow up of one. This right here, this 20-pin button and joystick harness, it's great. So we have on one end the 2x20. Let's see if I can go to a bigger image of this. Oh, am I not in? Yeah, I'm in Safari. Where's the open image in new tab? Yeah, sure. It's as big as it wants to get. So there's the 2x10 IDC connector. And then we get one bundle of 5 wires that's pretty standard Sanwa joystick style connector. We get a separate little bundle of wires for the sort of start, select, home button set, and then the 4 kick and 4 punch buttons are on this other set of wires here. And then we have this nice daisy chain of ground. So this is a really good way to, you'll see, I'll flip it upside down. It'll still look like a bit of a mess of wire because I haven't wrapped things or zip tied them or routed them super neatly. But that is why I'm doing this, because this makes wiring up the joystick really easy. So let's go over to the briefcase build over there. And I'll explain if you haven't been following along what this is. It is a Raspberry Pi running Batocera as a sort of emulation station box, built into this Crosley record player case, which you can get these from anywhere from $5 to $20. I wouldn't pay more than $30 at yard sales, online, thrift shops. And these are record players that have nice speakers built into them that we can actually reuse. And they hold a 14-inch monitor and your joystick really well. And then I've had to do some modifications to it, but that is why I'm doing all this. And when I got to wiring it up, I didn't want to do them one at a time. So, by the way, update on the spelling error thing. I think it's the word capacitive got misspelled on that board. Let's look at it. Capacitive. All right, sure. Capacitive. That's a different type of sensing, maybe. All right, so let's jump over here, and I'll dive into this, and hopefully that other camera will keep working. It seems to be working today, which is nice. Also, since last week, I think it was maybe VP Tech Ops or another member of the community who suggested that I mount my Raspberry Pi and the breakout for the joystick inside of the lid, so I'm not doing as much sandwich management, which I think was a great idea. So now the only things that are kind of mounted to the case are, and I'm going to disconnect it right now. Actually, it'd be easier to just take off this stereo bonnet, I think. So there you can see. Let's see if that focus looks. There we go. Oh, sorry, someone just bedooped because I didn't turn on this other microphone. There we go. Thank you. I just turned on. Appreciate the reminder. I just turned on this mic, so hopefully now that's better. So I was saying VP Tech Ops, I think, or someone else had suggested that I mount all of, or as much as possible, to the inside of the lid here. So now my Raspberry Pi and my KB2040 fight stick, those are, get this out of the way too. Those are mounted on a little 3D printed bracket I made. I'll go ahead and do the full unplug here and then show you how things are plugged in. So this now is the sandwiched lid. I've got the joystick with the quick release on there, so that we're able to close the lid without punching a hole through the screen. But that's the whole guts of it right there. And you can see here is my KB2040 fight stick breakout. There's the KB2040. There is the Brook wiring harness right there. And then those all plug into all my arcade buttons and the joystick. So that was really nice. It's become a standard. Brook, I think, is a kind of closed source company, but their standard kind of was adopted by the open source fight stick community, particularly the GP2040 CE people. They have reference boards that use this. They have a few kind of official reference boards in different sizes. You'll notice here something else. So that's that's that on this little 3D printed bracket I made to mount the Raspberry Pi to, that as well. Something else you'll notice, I started to run into some restarts or issues booting that were voltage sag. If you don't know, the Raspberry Pi 5 really does not like to start up or run anywhere below about 5.9, 5.1, 5.08 volts. And so as I was getting these restarts, I checked the log. You could see that it was shutting off due to under voltage detection. And so I have one of these little USB meters on here so that I could see what I was getting with different cables in there. This one is rated as 240 watts. Some randomish one I got on eBay or on Amazon, but it's worked well. I have a little 3-pack of these. Nice short cable that runs to my panel mount USB-C connector here, so you can see I'm supplying power to the monitor and to the Raspberry Pi through these two. And then I've added another USB that goes to USB-A so that I can plug in a keyboard or a game controller, a second controller, if I want to. And then the other thing I've been toying with is adding an Ethernet panel mount. So I have a really nice little short Cat5 cable. Oops, sorry. Really nice short Cat5 cable that I've just been tucking away there, so that if I want to do updates or SSH into it, the Wi-Fi seems unreliable, and I'm not sure why, but this I don't need the thing online very much the way I'm planning to use it, so I think having a Ethernet cable as a possibility, maybe even just to plug in and figure out what's going on with Wi-Fi, but I like having the ability to plug into it. So that's what's been added there. And then I'm going to plug this all back together, and then I'll show you the hinge solution and all that. This, by the way, I think I found a nice steel plate I can recommend people get that doesn't even require any cutting. That'll just add a lot more weight to the base here. This plus this is enough to keep it steady, but that helps a lot. So I'm gonna go ahead and plug. These are my two ribbon cable style USB-C for the power on the monitor and HDMI for the display. So those go through a little hole in my shell there. And then the things that need to be plugged in. So the KB2040 is just plugged into one of the maybe the USB 2 ports on the Raspberry Pi with a short little USB cable. The monitor USB-C goes to one of my little breakout panel mounts, I should say. This is the USB for controller or keyboard in the back. This is the monitor HDMI micro that goes to monitor HDMI mini. Oh, and you won't see this on camera, but I'm going to yank the little power analyzer there. And I can now fit my USB. One thing I noticed, Batacera is really good about booting up whichever monitor you have plugged in, so it doesn't seem to care. There aren't configs that are too excited about HDMI 0 or HDMI 1. And then, so the trickiest little bit of, oh, some of these. I have a broken button that's going to pop out. Sometimes it takes its ground with it, which is not good. So I'm plugging in my short little USB-C power to the back of the case there for the Raspberry Pi power. And then I'm going to plug, you won't see this, but I'm going to plug my stereo bonnet back in. And that's just because I'm using the cables and JST connector that came in the record player. I haven't made those any longer, so they're kind of short, so this is about as far as it opens with that speaker cable connected. All right. But it all closes up pretty nice. I'll take this off, click it back to the front there, and you'll see, so that all closes. And this is my prototype of the hinge stop. So I was using these friction hinges, which I may just leave the originals on there and not bother with these, because they're still, even though they slow the lid down, they don't have a hard stop. But these are temporary prototype versions of something I'm going to add with some nice little screw or bolt holes, so that I can add these, what are essentially big feet, to the back, which means it can still rest there despite me adding USB ports there, which I think would get in the way otherwise. So these act as big feet, and they act as a stop for the lid. So as you can see here, as I open that, we reach a point where these now touch on both ends. So I measured an angle there and have it the same on both, so that's as far as it can open, like 100 and some degrees. So that can't go farther than that. Also, I know these look a little hokey and big. They're just taped on there right now with double-sided tape, by the way. But one thing they do is, even if the thing leans over, we're still not going to bend our USB-C cables that are plugged in. This will stop it right there. So I think I'm going to continue to refine that, and I was considering if it would be possible to build those into the single part that we're adding to the existing case hole. This was a case hole here that my little pink 3D printed part goes into. But that may be a really too elaborate of a 3D object to print, and I don't want to glue stuff together or necessarily fasten those together. So something like this, I think, is going to be our lid stop on this, and feet. And now I think I've gotten it with the proper internal cabling. I've gotten it back to where this will run nicely on, I have the monitor and the Raspberry Pi both with their own supply, which is one of these Raspberry Pi. I think these are $7. These are the 5.1 volt, 3 amp. I think the 5 likes that bigger 27 watt better, that goes up to 5 amps, but I'm gonna go with these for now just because they're both the same size and they're half the price, and see if after enough testing, if these work well. I'll do that. Now again, I'll say, if you've seen Pandora boxes and other briefcase style builds that people have done, often they'll put a Magewell supply inside and run that power to everything, and just have, you know, one AC plug on the back. I just wanted to keep this to mostly Adafruit stuff, and not have people dealing with higher voltage things, so I'm keeping it to USB-C. But plugging that in, that turns it on. I think I disconnected this right now, but this is a soft power button. It mimics what the Raspberry Pi 5's own power button does. Let's hold this here so you can see. And that'll allow us to turn it on if it's plugged in. Right now you have to just unplug it and replug it if that's not connected. So other things to mention, and oh, by the way, I just want to pop open my chat because I haven't had that open in a while, and I really hope I haven't just been, you know, yammering to myself. Let's open Discord. So, so Big Red Pimp says the 2x10 IDC connector was in use on a few community-driven but closed arcade stick boards for universal console computer usage, PS360 Plus, prior to Brook adapting it for their own, but that effectively made it the standard. Love the way this build is turning out. Well, thank you. Yeah, I've been playing some MAME stuff on it and some TurboGrafx stuff on it, just because TurboGrafx has been on my mind and I've been loving it. So thank you. Yeah, it's a neat build. And what else can I say about it? So volume is now controlled with the home key. Again, this is a GP 2350. Beautiful thing is you can do sort of little macros and things. So I've got, and I think this might be one that Batocera just recognizes, or I think I set it as a hotkey. But volume up, down, if I, let's see. Let me go into a game. Let's see. Yeah, whoops. Let's go back. Let's go to Galaga 88, sure. See if I can get this loud. I'm going to turn off my air conditioning for a moment. Get this as loud as I can. Okay, so I'll start a game. So that's coming out of the original speakers using our stereo bonnet. And now if I hold this, each time I tap down, I'm decrementing the volume. And there it's back. There we go. Yeah. Uh-oh, JP's back. Quick, everyone act normal. What are you saying? Did I disappear? Oh gosh. So there you go. Yeah, so that's the volume controller. And my config for that, let me get back out to the main level. But I'm kind of liking this little layout of select or coin, start, and then the home button, A1 home button in the middle. Here you can hear. If we go to game settings here, sound settings, so there you can see there's the system volume, which we're able to change in game with that combination. Let me turn it down here. And so go back to that. If you go to user, controller settings, and look for joystick hotkeys, this is where hotkey plus D-pad up and D-pad down, that's the volume. So yes, sorry, I was confusing things. I didn't end up using a hotkey in GP2040 CE for this. It just ended up being, since I have a home button, which you need, that's built into Batocera. You just had to reassign this. So I'll have all these instructions in the Learn Guide. Try to make it as painless as possible to set up. And let's see, will this work to volume? No, yeah. So that volume control only works in the in-game. However, you can do separate volumes for this sort of UI music volume. So if I keep that low, it's not as annoying, or you can turn it off entirely if you don't want it. But I've been leaving it on just for testing. So there you go. That's the state of this. And let me turn my AC back on because it's already getting hot as a result. Big Red Pimp says, I have a build similar to this on a bar top arcade and exposed the USB controls and HDMI to breakouts in the back via KVM switch. Allows me to use the internal system of Mr. FPGA with externally connected one while passing USB controls to the active KVM device. Oh, excellent. So, speaking of which, one thing I want to test out is, I think I reconnected while we were back there. I think I reconnected this back USB-C port. So I now have a third USB port, that littler one that has kind of a tail built onto it. And I may need to label these so people know which ones are for power and which is not, because they're all USB-C. But on that one, we can just, on the most basic level, you can plug in a keyboard or keyboard and mouse with a hub. So what I've got, sorry, we're all cockamamie here. What I've got connected here is, this is a Raspberry Pi keyboard, which happens to have a USB micro B to whatever cable. I'm using a USB A and an adapter to C. So if we plug that in back there, you can sort of solve joystick problems if you just don't have things wired up correctly. You need a way to navigate around. You can use arrow keys and enter and stuff. However, if you press F1, you can see I'm now in File Manager. And if we, sorry, this is awkward to show on camera. If we, thankfully this allows a hub, so if I connect my mouse to this keyboard, which is actually a hub, the Raspberry Pi official keyboard is a little hub. I can mouse around here, I can go into like a ROM folder, etc. I'm not sure if you can mount a USB thumb drive, but that would be one way if you don't have an internet connection to add artwork or a ROM or something like that. And then I'm going to close this, and the thing I was curious about testing, which I haven't yet, so this is not like a cooking show, we're going to find out right here, is what if I connect a USB controller to this? Is there any chance of that getting used as a Player 2 controller, or will I have to go directly, or a different hub? What will work? So I'm going to plug this little Sega Genesis Mini modern controller. Hey, and it works! Oh, that's great. So that'll probably allow us to do like 2-player, so with this being player 1. So let me, let's go back to, whoops. Let's go back here to Galaga 88 and see if it lets me add a second player. Sorry about the mess here. I haven't had a chance to clean up since I was out. So let's put 2 coins in. And let's, yeah. Let's see. Maybe it won't. I don't know if I have enough mapped to tell it this controller has actually got a start button. Maybe not. But it's pretty quick and easy to come back out here. Go to controllers, controller mapping, map a controller. So 2 gamebeds detected, press and hold a button. Okay. Let's do south, east, north, west. Start. Select, I'm going to use the shoulder button. D-pad up, down, left, right. Shoulder, let's try shoulder left, shoulder right, and then I don't have anything for these, so I can just hold a button to not define. And I think I'll do the Same shoulder button there for hotkey. All right, go back, go back. Oops. Start. All right, we'll see if it lets me add this as player 2. To start, push 1 or 2 players button. Okay, so you're picking this, and oh, actually, this might not be a 2-player game other than like when first person dies, the second person goes. Let's see if that's the case. I actually don't know this game. Okay, let's die. Die. Oh wow, it's hard to hit the missiles intentionally. There we go. So let's switch to player 2. Yes. Okay. Oh, no, it doesn't. Okay. Yeah, it's not. I think it still thinks. Okay. So that I need to learn more about how that works. But I'm glad that the second controller works in there through that USB port. So that's where I'm at with this. Basically, I just I'm going to add Ethernet, which will either be a new hole in the case. You can see I've got a couple where I decided not to do buttons. Somewhere in here with a hole saw. I don't think I have room in the back anymore. So that'll be a optional modification because I do want people to be able to do this with a minimal of drilling into there. And I think that is it. So that's what's going on with that. All right, let me jump back over here. And I'll turn off that second mic. Okay. Thanks, Bertnar. So the case is coming along nicely. It's a lot of work to get it to where I hope it will be not too much work for people to actually set up. You'll have a few 3D printed parts to print to make the monitor stay put, fit your joystick, etc. in. But yeah, I'm looking to make it as straightforward as I can. Unfortunately, now you could probably do this with a Raspberry Pi 4 if you happen to have one sitting around, maybe even a 3. Unfortunately, these kinds of builds aren't as cheap as they used to be just because of the price of memory, like with most things right now. But it's not like it's a super cheap build to put these kind of things together anymore, unless you already have some of the parts sitting around. Monitor's cheap. That was like $60, which is kind of mind-blowing. Okay, let's talk now. Let me jump into this thing here. I just wanted to show this cool blinky badgeware thing from Pymaroni that I got. Maybe next week I'll bring in that UV light and my N64 controller that fluoresces so nicely because I want to test and see, does this, which as some of you may know, I could not buy it acid green. I love that kind of translucent case. So the badge comes with a sticker and a lanyard too. I'm just going to leave those in there. And let's go to down shooter. View of the world. Right there. Focus looks good. So this is like a Charlie Plexed bazillion single color LEDs. Awesome looking. And it kind of integrates the buttons into the display. Like you can see, they're not on the edges of the display. They just eat into the thing, but it's kind of a nice effect. So injection molded case. Great job, guys, gals, anyone at Pymaroni, amazing. So we've got USB-C here for power and data. We've got the integrated LiPo and charging. We've got the module there for connectivity, but it is a RP2350 for the main brain. I think that's a coprocessor for wireless. And I actually don't need to plug it in. I'll leave the cord off of there. And you can see here we've got a deep sleep and a home boot button. So if I press that, let me get the glare off of there and let me dump the exposure down. Okay, so my little downshooter is going to fight with the refresh rate, so you'll get a little flickering that you don't see in real life. But you've got these. This one says games. If we launch that, how do I launch that? There we go. It's just some cool looking demos right now. Super performant. I don't know how to use this thing, so I'll just hit reset to try to get back to the menu. There's a, I think this is the word, like the badge demo. So you can adjust what font that's doing. I think by default it's a really nice big one. Oh, they got a lot of them on here. Heck yeah. Todd said he thinks these Blinky 2350 demos are in MicroPython, which makes some sense, yeah. I don't know if this is running CircuitPython yet. As you can tell, I know very little about this. Let's look into it, though. Here, we'll leave that running. I'll go to that view there. Let's see. So most of the info here will be on their Badgeware site. Digital PAL. So there's a e-ink one, a TFT one, and then this little LED one. Yeah, MicroPython, Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. So it's a little coprocessor, and you can wear it. It comes with a lanyard. It has a couple little mounting holes on there, so you can use that as your badge. So yeah, if you're going to a conference that doesn't have this kind of a badge, and you just want to have a neat thing to show off and goof around with, pretty cool. Let's see what else. Brilliant white LEDs, 8 megs PS RAM, Wi-Fi and Bluetooth 5.2. I assume those are ESP32 module for that. 1000 milliamp hour battery, user and system buttons, 4-zone rear lighting, and corporate mole lanyard. Documentation is here. So I may play around with this more to see. I am curious, do we have CircuitPython on it? Probably not yet. I'm guessing it'll happen, but let's go to CircuitPython.org, downloads, and badge. They have their Badger 2040 was on there. It's an older badge. A lot of badges running CircuitPython. Oh yeah, Badger 2350. Hey, okay. It is running CircuitPython. Okay, cool. Maybe I'll do some CircuitPython Parsecs with that, because it's a neat... I love the LEDs and the interface with those little buttons there, so cool stuff. And I think we still have these in stock. Some of them are out of stock. This one, we have 14 of this particular one in stock, which is the best because of the green. 9 of the e-paper ones. There are kit versions, by the way, which have some extras, a little joystick sort of PCB you can plug into it, and another sensor adapter PCB, I think it is. The e-paper... And let's see, I think the TFT one is... Oh, those are in stock, yeah. So you can get any of these. So go check those out. And hey, guess what? I've got a coupon code for you, if you didn't recall this, if you want to save 10% in the shop. So that'll work even on these Pymaroni things. But on pretty much anything we can ship to you, then save yourself 10%. Type in voltage on your way out. That'll do it. That'll do the trick. Okay. Let's see. David Essa said the show is better in color. Yeah, I was grayscale on Tuesday, but now I'm in color. Let's see. I'm gonna go ahead and check my notes to see if there's any other stuff I wanted to mention. Primary badge, wiring harness, fight stick PCB. Yeah, good. So yeah, most of what I showed. Oh, of course, the demo scene music stuff. I'd say just go check out last night's show and tell. We have that video up. This is the Fruit Jam. This is the demos. And turn off this light so you can see. This power. So this is the demo scene code. And I'm just going to plug in audio cable from over here. And sorry for that flicker. Once again, that's a filming artifact. If I come back here, can I convince it to focus? Yeah, I'm so dark it doesn't know if there's anything to focus on. That's okay. We're mostly here for the sound on this one, so I'm going to plug this in. And let me know in the chat if this volume mix is okay, if you can hear me and the music. So this is from KQVC, Dan Q from Adafruit. Wrote these trackers, tracker music using a tracker, which is samples and essentially hex code for a vertical timeline, effects, pitch shifts, arpeggios, and the patterns and scenes of those patterns. Those he gave me as mod files, which is a pretty standard format for tracker music from the Commodore, Amiga, DOS era. And I'm using a library, a C library called PocketMod that is part of the Arduino build here, that allows me to play back those mod files. So they don't have to be, all they have to be converted into is a header file that's easier for Arduino to read, but they're just mod files. And you can see I've got different ones for the different demos. So if I switch over to my Starfield demo, Fruit Jam. And then if I hit reset, we'll go back to the main menu here. The plasma. Different colors on the and you hear we got different music running on there. So thank you so much to Dan for putting that together. I've got 10. One of them is a 10 channel. I think that's on Valley Run here. This is a 10 channel mod file. It still is able to play. It's in stereo. If you're listening to stereo speakers, you should hear some stereo separation. Change out the colors. And I'll leave it at that. Let me turn that volume down there and pull that out. So hopefully you could hear that. I didn't see any messages, so if not, you'll wonder what the heck I was talking about, but that guide will be coming pretty soon. I'm going to try to commit the code tonight, like I said, so you can go check it out. It is, yeah, focus was out. I could not convince it. If I have light, no, even there, yeah, the camera's not quite sure what to do with all that. I think you might be able to do a drag and drop of a UF2 of this. I'm going to see if when I flash my Fruit Jam from Arduino, it's actually using UF2. So I should be able to capture that UF2 and give you just one thing to drop on there if you don't want to edit anything and just use it as is. But I will include a couple of utilities, a couple Python scripts, one for generating a texture.h file. That's how I swapped our friend Lars onto here in the RotoZoom demo. So I made a little 128 by 128 BMP file, and that's now Lars and some Cheerios or something there. So there's a utility for making that, and there's a utility for converting mod files into the .h song files that'll be read by PocketMod. Camera doesn't want to focus on Lars for understandable reasons. Look, it's Lars on Lars on Lars on Lars. All right, I think that is going to do it. So, hey, thanks everyone so much for stopping by. I now need to bury my head in the sand for another half hour or so to avoid spoilers on the soccer game going on, World Cup game going on. So I'm going to go radio silent, but thank you everyone so much for stopping by. I believe Foamy Guy or Scott are doing a deep dive tomorrow. I didn't actually didn't find out who's doing what when. Probably Scott tomorrow. Foamy Guy sometimes on the weekend, definitely on Tuesday morning. I'll be back on Tuesday with product pick of the week, and then we'll have 3D Hangouts on Wednesday and show and tell on Wednesday evening of next week. So please come and stop by. Yes, you also detected the typo on the capacitive touch screen, so that was another exciting event of the show this very day. So thanks everyone so much for stopping by. Adafruit Industries, I'm John Park. This has been John Park's Workshop. Bye-bye.